Hello and welcome to another Royal Reviewer live pop-up chat. First of all, let me just adjust this camera to make sure that it is almost in the correct position. I am wearing my kimono today and my tiara, and I have a drink because I didn't get much sleep last night. For some reason, it's one of those occasions where I had a really restless night. In fact, I've actually been up since 1:30 a.m. without any sleep. Anyway, so do excuse the coffee. Right, I'm going to go straight to the chat room and see exactly who is in live. Any links that I share, as always, I will put in the description box below. We are only going to have one topic of this chat, so there's no need to take timestamps. It's all going to be completely about Prince Andrew and my reaction, my take on what's been going on over the last few days. So some of you, I can see some of you are there already. Some of you are going to be wondering why I haven't made this video sooner. And the simple answer is, when this news broke, immediately a lot of kind of senior royal reporters who work for things like the BBC, ITV, people that you would expect to be in the know, were actually saying that there was going to be a Buckingham Palace statement imminently. So I waited the rest of that night and there was nothing. Then, by the time it got to the morning, reports were coming out that Buckingham Palace were not going to comment. But as this story blew up, I was expecting there to be some kind of official statement released, either confirming or denying the allegations made against Prince Andrew that he wasn't fully cooperating with any requests that were made to do with the investigation from the USA side. Unfortunately, we've got to today, it's now Wednesday, and nothing has been particularly forthcoming from the palace. The one thing that we do have, basically, we have kind of like an unofficial response, but the way that all of the media in the UK are reporting this, it leads me to think that it probably is from a reliable source. Sorry, I've got an itchy nose. I think it is from a reliable source. So, the story goes that a source really, really close to Prince Andrew has denied that he has not, categorically denied that he hasn't given any information when asked. Now let me just scroll down so I can, there we go. Prince Andrew was pictured today driving his Bentley after angrily denying claims he refused to help the FBI with its investigation into what's been going on. The Queen's son was said to be furious at an allegation from US Attorney Geoffrey Berman that he had offered zero cooperation, with a source insisting last night nothing could be further from the truth. Now, that's obviously from Prince Andrew's camp. We do not know if that's true. At this point in time, we do not know from the USA side what information was requested. That has not been revealed. We don't even know who the legal team are that are representing Prince Andrew. So we are in a kind of a tricky situation with it all. I said ages ago that I would not come on and talk about Prince Andrew unless there was something new. I mean, I would probably classify this as something new. An allegation of not cooperating most definitely is something new. It's something new that has been brought to the table. We don't know what information that the US legal team are saying that they requested. Was it just kind of informal questions? Was it a series of questions that was put to Prince Andrew? Did they want to speak to him via video link? Were they requesting that he actually go to the country? These are all issues which we don't know. What we do know is that Andrew, in that interview, when he did the interview about all of this, he said that he would fully cooperate with any requests to help the investigation on the advice of his legal team. So I remember watching that interview and I remember thinking, oh, he's just put on the end of that a massive, huge caveat. He has put a caveat that he would only help. So yes, he's willing to help, but he would only help on the advice of his legal team. So we need to, okay, let's look at it one way. So let's look at that the US legal team are telling the truth and that they did request information from Andrew. There are two ways to look at Andrew's response. Did he, A, have advice from his legal team not to cooperate? Or B, did he have advice from his legal team to cooperate, but he himself chose not to cooperate? Those, again, are issues that we do not know, because even if you have a legal team that's advising you to do something, as a client, you don't necessarily have to take that advice. I would probably think, even though in the absence of not knowing who his legal team is, I imagine it's probably the best top lawyers in this field that money can buy. I imagine that he has the best lawyers giving appropriate advice. Again, we don't know what that advice is, but let's just put it out there. He could have been advised not to cooperate. He could have been advised to cooperate, but chose not to do so. That we do not know. The other option, of course, is that the US legal team are not telling the truth and they haven't made a request. I mean, has there actually been any evidence produced from them detailing a formal request in writing, for example, or over email or a phone call? So there's also that to consider too. Going back to the interview, going back to the time of the actual interview that Prince Andrew gave, I remember coming online and doing a chat and saying, if you've gone this far, if you've opened your mouth and you've spoken this far about what's been going on, and in particular, if you are saying that you have an alibi, I think he said it was Princess Beatrice. If you remember, he said he went to the Pizza Hut in Woking on the date of one of the alleged occasions. If you have gone on record, on camera, and said that, I said at the time, it would be a really, really good idea to voluntarily offer evidence and proof of what you are saying. And that should be fairly easy to do from Prince Andrew's point of view, because he has round the clock royal protection. And I know from reading Princess Diana's former guard's book, he says that a report is made from a protection officer, an official government police report is made every day, every evening, once a shift is complete, about the whereabouts of that charge during the day. So, records, unless records have been destroyed, which I don't think so, a record, an official police record of Andrew's whereabouts on that day should be able to be produced, either saying yes, he was there, or no, he was not. So it should be very, very easy from Andrew's point of view, if he is so sure in what he is saying that he had an alibi and he was at that location, there will have been a police record kept of that. I think categorically that he should produce that, because from his point of view, it strengthens his case if he can prove that he wasn't where he's being alleged to be. So, in my mind, it made sense at the time to voluntarily offer that if you've got access to it. Now, again, we've either got option A, he didn't want to do it, or he's been advised not to do it, or option B, it doesn't exist. Or the record actually says that he is where he was alleged to be. So again, we don't entirely know. With regards to diplomatic immunity, now I've heard lots of speculation that maybe Prince Andrew has some kind of diplomatic immunity for being a high-profile person, a HRH, the Queen's son. He does not have diplomatic immunity. Only the Queen is technically above the law, has diplomatic immunity. Any other member of the royal family does not have diplomatic immunity. He could, technically, I suppose, be extradited to the USA to face charges if there was a formal request. Now, what we don't have is the FBI or the US legal team saying that they have actually officially made a charge. So, we're still in the same place we were many months ago when he actually made the interview. We have no charge. In a way, it would kind of help matters if they did actually make a charge. So, it's either they haven't got enough evidence to make a charge, or what they want to do is ask him kind of informal questions and see on the basis of that if there is anything to make a charge, or even they may have even decided not to make a charge but to use whatever he's got to say to help convict other people that may have been alleged too. So again, we don't know the full cards. We don't know. Think of it a bit like a poker game. We don't know what hand of cards either side has got at the moment. We don't know if Prince Andrew is holding back evidence, proof of his whereabouts, in case he needs to do it if a charge was made. But I would probably say it's better to maybe offer that voluntarily now, of his own free will. It definitely doesn't look good for Andrew. This is not going away. If he hoped that by being quiet, and keeping a low profile, although it hasn't been low profile over the last couple of weeks, he's been seen with the Queen. If his hope was that it was going to go away quietly, I don't think it is. I don't think it is going to go away. As we know, he was stripped of his royal duties. He still retains his HRH, but he was stripped of his royal duties. Officially now, he's kind of in limbo land. He's not a full-time working royal. And if he wants to get back anything, this needs some kind of resolve, either way, whichever way it goes, either in his favour or against him, not in his favour. It just kind of, it needs to be resolved. And like I say, if the prosecution are going to put a charge, I wish they'd do it, because it would help to kind of speed things up. Carrying on from the fact that he doesn't have diplomatic immunity, there is one other thing to throw into the mix too. You probably haven't heard of it if you're not in the UK, but there has been a huge, mega story over the last, 4 months, maybe? 4 months? And it involves a teenager called Harry Dunn. And Harry Dunn was knocked over and allegedly killed by a lady who works in a US airbase. And she actually left the UK to return to the USA, and she has claimed diplomatic immunity. And the FBI and the government have said that she has diplomatic immunity, and the family of this lad who was knocked over are going understandably out of their wits. They are putting pressure on the UK government to get her extradited back to the UK to face charges. And there seems to be, in the media at least, and politically, a little bit of a kind of infight, almost diplomatic tit for tat, saying that obviously if the USA is not going to extradite this lady, then why should the official government help with the Prince Andrew? I mean, I'm going to post a link so you can see it all for yourselves. I am not making this up. This is actually something that is being thrown into the mix. So I will pop that there, and I will pop that link in the description so you can have a browse of that too. Now, I am going to go to the chat room and kind of scoot all the way up and see if there's any kind of major questions going on. We Are Legion says Andrew is never going to tell the truth. He'll be protected by his wealth, like all rich creepers. Well, like I said, he doesn't have diplomatic immunity. So technically, if there was a charge brought, a formal charge from the prosecution requesting the UK government to extradite him, considering he doesn't have diplomatic immunity, that request would have to be addressed. It would have to be formally addressed. So I don't necessarily think his money is going to protect him. Adobe says, have the FBI asked him? Well, obviously the gentleman who said that he hadn't cooperated says that they have. But again, like I said earlier in the video, we haven't seen any concrete evidence of that. Becky Ray says the FBI sent a request to his lawyers, again, whom we don't know who the lawyers are. We haven't seen evidence of the request. We haven't seen evidence of a denial. We only have at the moment two opposing claims. And of course, a source which has not been named, said to be from Prince Andrew's camp. I mean, obviously, I think the source that's spoken out, I think, is an informal way to make a point from Prince Andrew's side. So I think we can pretty much say that he, from his side, is categorically denying that he's not cooperating. But again, we have no formal evidence of anything. Adobe says it's just tabloids and claimants and lawyers requesting, not the law. For My Love of Animals says, embarrassment for the royal family. It is. And the longer this goes on, the more problematic it will be. It's not going away. It's going to be at the forefront of, of everything for a very long time until it is actually sorted out. Margaret says, if he has nothing to hide, then why wouldn't he be happy to testify or give a statement? The fact that he's refusing just makes him look guilty, which in my opinion, he probably is. I mean, again, that is your opinion, and everybody is going to have their opinions on this. And I'm trying in this video to stick to the very little facts that we actually have in light of no evidence. So, you know, this is a very difficult and tricky ongoing legal case to comment on, especially when we're not having much concrete evidence from either side. But going back to your point about testifying, again, like I say, we don't know what was requested of him. I mean, I can understand that his legal team may advise him not to actually physically go to the US, but we are in the age of communication where he could answer questions via video link. You know, he could write down a written statement of questions and that could be sent off. So there are ways that he could cooperate without physically going to the US if that was the advice of his legal team. Bella says nothing has been said on Prince Andrew here either, and what you just said. William Roberts says the USA wants Andrew to cooperate, yet won't cooperate in extraditing the wife of the diplomat who is suspected of killing Harry Dunn, which is exactly what I've just said. You know, that is, excuse my cough, that is an actual real thing that has been thrown into the mix, which is why I shared that link, because a lot of you, especially if you're on the other side of the pond, if you're in Canada, America, other parts of the world, you may not know about that case and how big that case is in the UK and how that is being played off against the Prince Andrew issue as well. Susan says, I feel so sorry for his girls as they sure look at him with such question marks. Looking at your parents with this over your head is sad to say the least. And again, with Beatrice's upcoming wedding as well, she probably wants, I think everybody wants some kind of resolve either way. Let's have a look. I'm going to kind of script down a little bit. Margaret says the Queen must do what's in the best interest of the monarchy, in which case she has to turn Andrew over. Also, we're beginning to hear rumblings about kind of comparing Prince Andrew to Harry and Meghan in regards of the military commitments and representations that Prince Andrew has. So as we know, Prince Harry has had to relinquish all of his military appointments. Prince Andrew still maintains his, even though he's not technically at the moment a working royal. So we are hearing now, talk in the press, talk amongst the people, that perhaps that needs looking at as well. Also, I will say that reading the mood of the people over the last couple of days, I think the majority of the British people feel that he should offer up voluntarily any help that he possibly can to help this case. I think that is pretty much the mood of the people. If I'm kind of reading into some tweets I've seen, comments, if I've watched lots of TV reports, I've watched lots of panel TV shows in the UK where they've had different people giving their views, and pretty much the general consensus is that this is a big, huge mess. It is a big, huge embarrassment, and the right and honourable thing to do from Prince Andrew would be to cooperate where you possibly can. And that is, I think, the mood of what people are saying. Right, I'm going to kind of scoot down to the bottom of the chat. Margaret says, can Andrew be stripped of his royal title? Can you please talk about that? Anybody can be stripped of their royal title, even if it was a birthright. If Her Majesty the Queen wishes to issue letters patent to change something, she technically could. Also, perhaps if the government were to put pressure on Her Majesty the Queen to, or in an advisory capacity to do something, then technically the Queen could reverse a birthright. Midnight Hale says, yes, monarchy first, no half in for Andrew. Well, Andrew's in limbo land at the moment. Remember, he didn't voluntarily give up his patronages and organisations, although obviously the communication was that he kind of offered to step back. But no, he was advised to step back. So in relation to Harry and Meghan chose what they wanted to do. And of course, the royal family decided that there could be no other way, no other path, no other way of mitigating that, charting those waters for Harry and Meghan. But it is coming in the UK now. It's been a period of time where he has been effectively stripped of his royal role, and people are beginning to ask questions and make comparisons. Carol says, you say Prince Andrew should do what he can to help the investigation. The reality is he cannot without hanging himself, so to speak. Well, we don't know. I mean, we don't know what information he's got. We don't know. We can speculate all we want. We can make judgments based on whatever side we want to listen to. But the simple fact is, we don't know what he's got. Has he got the evidence of his whereabouts on those occasions to prove that he wasn't know until he produces it? Or, as the case may be, can't produce it? We don't know. Right. Margaret says, once Charles becomes king, can he... Any monarch could change or issue or make amendments to letters patent to kind of change things. So technically, yes, Charles could. Okay. And to keep this chat brief and on the point of the topic, I'm going to leave it here. Like I say, there is a lot of what ifs. There is a lot of not knowing. There is a lot of it's a minefield. It really is a minefield. And from either, well, in particular, I would like to see, I think going forwards, I would like to see Prince Andrew offering up any advice, in particular on the issues that he spoke about in the interview. So I think that would be a really, really good first step. And that is to provide any evidence that he possibly can of his whereabouts. In other words, prove his alibi. Also, from the other side's point of view, if they do have enough evidence to produce a charge, then I think that they should do that as well. And I think those two steps taken together could help to get things moving and hopefully come up with some kind of resolution either way. And of course, we don't know, depending on what the different sides produce. We don't know what that could be. Could there be a formal request for an extradition, of which the government, the UK government, would have to address? We don't know until that move is made. So I'm going to go now, and obviously this is an ongoing and developing story. If something comes up, if we have an official palace response, which I hoped to have had today on this chat, then obviously I will come on and we will discuss that further. So if you have, it sounds strange to say enjoyed this video, this is not a topic that is enjoyable for anybody to speak about, but if you have liked my reporting on this, please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to share on social media, and also do hit that bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. And also, please do remember to subscribe to the channel. And yes, I am wearing a kimono. So from me in Shropshire, mwah, to you all, and goodbye.